Charlie's 520 only has 184 horsepower, while his 540 has 340, nearly double. How could he pass him so easily? The students watching were all stunned. No one thought that Charlie, the guy everyone was sure would lose, would shoot off like an arrow from a bow, instantly blowing past Gavin and leaving him in the dust. Before Gavin was even halfway there, Charlie had already turned around at the end of the road. By the time Gavin was making his turn, Charlie was already back at the starting line. Charlie won, and he won by a landslide. When Gavin finally made it back, he saw Charlie and Claire celebrating his victory, and he felt like he was going to collapse. What just happened? What in the world was going on? Since when was a 520 twice as fast as a 540? Wait a minute. That jerk must have modified his car. Oh shoot, he used a modified car to trick me? Darn it! He gritted his teeth, drove his car back to the crowd, and saw Charlie already high-fiving Claire. The other students were still in shock, unable to figure out how Charlie's 520 was so incredibly fast. Gavin slammed his car to a stop, jumped out, and roared, angry. "Darn it, Charlie! You're driving a modified car, aren't you? That's not a fair race. A modified car has way more power than mine. How is that a fair comparison?" Charlie just smirked. "Hey, Gavin, weren't you the one saying it's all about the engine, not about skill or guts? Now that you've lost, are you going to back out?" "I'm not." Gavin's face showed a flash of panic, but he tried to sound tough. "You cheated!" Elsa chimed in with disgust. "Gavin, you're all talk. It's really pathetic. Don't forget the promise you just made. If anyone backs out of the bet, their whole family will have to live with the shame." "Yeah!" A lot of the students who had been waiting to see Charlie get humiliated were now annoyed with Gavin. They could see he was a sore loser. He was a grown man, and he started this whole thing himself, but now he wouldn't even own up to it. Someone else spoke up. "Gavin, you're being a real jerk. Everyone saw it. You were the one who challenged Charlie. You're the one who said it was all about the engine. You said if you lost, your whole family would have to live with it. Are you really going to go back on your word now, just to avoid honoring the bet?" "Yeah," a girl said. "Gavin, we all thought you were a man of your word, but I guess we didn't expect you to flake out like this." Others chimed in. "Now I see what Gavin is really like. He's a total hypocrite. If Charlie had lost, he definitely wouldn't have let him off the hook. Now that he lost, he's being a sore loser. It's pathetic." Gavin's face was a mix of pale and red. To be honest, he had just bought the car less than a month ago and had spent over $700,000 on it, all in. If he really threw a case of fireworks inside and lit them, the car would be completely wrecked. This was his car. He usually wouldn't even let a tiny scratch or speck of dust touch it. So why would he ever be willing to throw fireworks inside? However, with so many of his classmates watching, and the crowd now clearly against him, he knew that if he kept being shameless, they would never hang out with him again. They would tell everyone that he lost a bet and would rather let his whole family live with the shame than honor it. Thinking of this, his heart wavered. If he didn't like the fireworks, his reputation would be ruined. Just then, Charlie suddenly spoke up. "Gavin, we're all classmates here. It's not that serious. Your car is pretty expensive. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to." Gavin instantly breathed a sigh of relief, but the students around them immediately started whispering, "Wow, Charlie is being the bigger person." It's actually embarrassing to watch Gavin right now. Yeah, Charlie realized he can't afford to lose, so he's giving him a way out. Gavin's ego couldn't take it, and he yelled, "Who the hell said I can't afford to lose? Where are the fireworks? Give them to me. If I can make a bet, I can certainly afford to lose it." At that moment, a small smile played on Charlie's lips. Gavin had completely lost it. He couldn't stand being shown up by a nobody like Charlie in front of all his classmates, so he snapped, grabbed the fireworks from Darren, and threw them right into his car. After that, he picked up a lighter, grabbed the fuse, and said coldly, "Watch this. A real man doesn't back down from a bet, and I don't need any pity from Charlie." With that, he immediately flicked the lighter. The fireworks lit up instantly, crackling and exploding inside the car. At first you could see the flashes of light, but soon the car was filled with thick white smoke. The sound of the constantly exploding fireworks was breaking Gavin's heart, but the classmates watching were cheering with excitement. Many of them had already pulled out their phones to record videos, planning to post the whole thing on the internet later, so everyone could see this crazy stunt. The case of fireworks exploded, and soon the seats of the 540 were blown apart. The seats were filled with foam, which is super flammable. The fireworks quickly sparked a real fire. No one expected the fireworks to actually ignite the car. It was filled with so much white smoke that no one could even see the flames at first. However, when the fireworks were almost done and the smoke began to clear, the flames inside suddenly roared to life, and the whole interior was engulfed in fire. The classmates at the scene all screamed, and Gavin yelled in shock, "Oh my God, put it out! Put out the fire!" He thought the fireworks would just mess up the seats and the interior, costing him maybe tens of thousands or even $100,000 to fix. He never, ever expected the fireworks would actually set the whole car on fire. He screamed for a fire extinguisher, but no one could help him put out the flames empty-handed. He frantically dialed 911 and then watched helplessly as the fire in his car grew bigger and bigger until it was completely swallowed by the flames. By the time the fire truck arrived, all that was left was the burned-out frame of the 540. Looking at the frame, you couldn't even tell it had once been a luxury car. Gavin slumped to the ground, watching in agony as his beloved turned to ash. If he had known this would happen, he would have done anything to avoid provoking Charlie and challenging him to that race. He hadn't just lost face, his car was totally wrecked. Darren kept a straight face, but inside he thought it was hilarious and secretly gave Charlie a thumbs up. Then he said to Gavin, "Gavin, don't feel too bad. We should probably head inside for dinner." Gavin wanted to make up an excuse and just leave, but then he thought about it. That would be letting Charlie, that jerk, off way too easily. After all, his car was ruined because of Charlie. He had to get his payback somehow. So he got to his feet, pretending to be calm, and said, "What's there to be sad about? I was just having a little fun with a bet." A few of his friends came over to back him up. "Yeah, Gavin's loaded. What's one car?" "Exactly. For a guy like him, it's just a car." Everyone knew Gavin was just trying to save face, so they dropped the subject and followed Darren inside for the opening party. Inside the restaurant, a bunch of tables were set up in the main dining area. On a small stage at the front, banners were hanging up celebrating the class reunion and the restaurant's grand opening. A lot of classmates were bringing up gifts. Charlie took the ancient painting he'd bought, walked up to Darren, and said, "Congratulations, Darren. This is a little opening gift from me and Claire." Claire smiled too. "Darren, congratulations. We wish you all the best and a ton of success." "Thank you," Darren said quickly. He then leaned into Charlie's ear and whispered with a smirk, "You and your wife seem a lot closer than what everyone says. So, when are you guys having a baby?" Claire couldn't help but blush when she heard them whispering. Charlie just smiled and said, "Hey, don't spread rumors. When the time comes, I'll let you know." "You won't get out of buying a gift, you know." "That's true," Darren nodded eagerly. "I'll definitely give your kid a large cash gift when the time comes." Just then, a woman with heavy makeup and a plain face walked over to Darren. "Darren, who are these two?" "This is one of my best friends from college, Charlie. And this is our old prom queen, Claire, who's now Charlie's wife." After introducing them, Darren introduced the woman beside him. "And this is my fiancé, Aria Hughes." "He's the one who's a freeloader?" Aria blurted out, but she quickly realized her mistake and forced a smile. "Oh, Darren's told me so much about you. You two make a beautiful couple." Charlie pretended he didn't hear her and handed the ancient painting to Aria. "This is just a little something from us." Aria smiled. "Oh, you shouldn't have. Just having you here is more than enough." As she spoke, she quickly took the gift box. Charlie said, "You two must be busy. We'll go find a place to sit." "Okay," Darren said apologetically. "Sorry, Charlie, there are so many people here I have to say hello to." As soon as Charlie and Claire walked away, Aria tore open the gift box and found a manuscript inside. She frowned and said, "What did your friend give you?" Darren said, "Can't you see it? It's a painting." Aria sneered. She unrolled the manuscript to look at it. "What is this piece of junk? It's so old and gross. I bet it's worth maybe $100 or $200. Darren said sternly, "What does it matter how much it costs? It's a gift from a friend. It's the thought that counts." Aria shot back. "Oh, please. Let me tell you, you need to keep friends like that at a distance. A gift this cheap doesn't even cover the cost of their dinner." Darren's face darkened. "Aria, do you have to be such a snob?" Aria flew into a rage. "How dare you talk to me like that, Darren? You think I'm a snob? If I were a real snob, do you think I'd be with a loser like you? Don't forget, my dad put up most of the money for this restaurant." Darren looked awkward, suddenly speechless. Just then, Gavin walked up to them. He seemed to have recovered from the whole car-burning fiasco and was back to his usual arrogant self. He went straight to them, handed Darren a thick envelope, and said casually, "Darren, congrats on the opening. I didn't know what to get you, so I just put together a large cash gift." Aria snatched it up, thanking him. She could feel a thick wad of cash inside. It had to be $10,000, and her tone immediately changed. "Oh, thank you so much!" Gavin waved a hand and asked her, "I saw Charlie give you a gift earlier. What was it?" Aria snorted. "Some painting he probably dug out of a thrift store. It's probably worth $100, maybe $200, if that." Gavin sneered. "What do you expect? A loser's always a loser." Charlie sat down with Claire and Elsa. A moment later, Gavin followed and slid into the seat right beside Elsa. As soon as he sat down, he smiled and asked Elsa, "Elsa, I heard you came to Oris Hill to work for the Grand Group?" Elsa nodded. "Yeah, I just started." Gavin beamed. "What a coincidence! My dad is a deputy general manager of a department at the Grand Group. I'll have him look out for you." When he said that, several people at the table gasped. "Wow, Gavin, your dad is a deputy general manager at the Grand Group?" "Yep," Gavin nodded smugly. "He was promoted last year." Someone immediately started sucking up. "The annual salary for a deputy general manager has to be a few million, right? That's incredible. No wonder your family is so rich." Gavin just smiled. "A few million is just his base salary. My dad has a lot of pull and some other income streams. Right now, the Grand Group is working on a new hotel project. After this project is done, my dad stands to make at least 10 to 20 million. A guy sitting across from him leaned forward eagerly. "Hey, Gavin, I want to work for the Grand Group too. I've sent in my resume a bunch of times but haven't heard anything. Do you think you could talk to your uncle and maybe recommend me internally?" Gavin nodded, happy to show off his connections. "Sure, no problem. Just send me your resume later. I'll put in a good word for you." Charlie couldn't help but frown. He had no idea Gavin's father was an executive at the Grand Group. This was getting interesting. He decided he would text Doris later and have her fire Gavin's father. So he deliberately asked, "Gavin, if your father is so high up in the Imgrand Group, why didn't he get you a job there?" Gavin sneered with disdain. "What do you know? It wouldn't make sense for me to join the Imgrand Group. Everyone would know I'm his son. I'd constantly have people watching my every move." Gavin continued proudly. "So I'm not even thinking about the Imgrand Group. I've already started my own building materials company. I'll just use my dad's connections to get contracts directly from them." "I see," someone exclaimed. "You're going to make a fortune." Gavin snorted. "It's all right. I should make a good amount of money within a year." With that, he shot a deliberate look at Charlie and asked, "So Charlie, what do you do now? Are you just washing clothes and cooking since you got married?" Laughter erupted from everyone at the table. Charlie answered calmly, "Besides washing clothes and cooking, I also have to drive my wife to work and give her back rubs. It's a busy life." Gavin looked like he was about to explode. He couldn't believe Charlie's audacity. The guy was so shameless, it was unbelievable. Clenching his jaw, he gritted his teeth. "Charlie, I didn't realize you were so content to just live off your wife." "Why shouldn't I be?" Charlie said, completely unfazed. "I didn't steal it, and I didn't force my way into it. Why wouldn't I be comfortable with the life I have?" The classmates sitting around them were stunned. They had seen shameless people before, but this was on another level entirely. The crazy part was they were also envious. After all, Claire was absolutely beautiful. To be a kept man for a woman who was basically a goddess? That was something most of them could only dream of. It was a bitter mix of jealousy, envy, and pure hate. If they had a chance to be with a beauty like Claire, who would care if you were a stay-at-home husband? That was winning at life. Gavin was so furious that he was speechless. At that moment, Arya stepped onto the small stage. With a bright smile, she addressed the crowd. "Thank you all for the wonderful gifts today. Darren and I are both so moved. To show our gratitude, we decided to announce the details of each gift. Thank you all again." Since it was an opening ceremony, the public acknowledgement of gifts was a natural part of the event. Originally, Darren didn't want to do this, but he didn't have much say in the matter, so he just let Arya take charge. But many of their old classmates weren't surprised. People love to compare and show off. This way, everyone could see who gave what and judge how well their classmates were doing after graduation. Soon after, Arya began to read from the list. "Thank you, Taylor Emerson, for the $1,000 cash gift card. Thank you, Henry Bowman, for the pair of gold bars. Thank you, Alex Novak, for the Jade Griffin statue. Thank you, Gavin, for the $10,000 cash gift card." The first few gifts, whether cash or items, were all worth around $1,000. But when she got to Gavin, who had given $10,000, the students were floored. A $10,000 gift for a restaurant opening? That was huge. Many people looked at Gavin with awe, praising his generosity. Gavin wore a smug look on his face. It was clear he had easily one-upped everyone. At this moment, Arya continued, "And thank you to Charlie and Claire for the old painting." As soon as she said that, the whole room burst out laughing. An old painting? Was it worth even $100? Were they really that cheap? The grand opening of Darren's restaurant was a big deal. The meal alone costs hundreds of dollars per person. And they came to eat and just gave an old painting? Weren't they afraid of being laughed at? Gavin also sneered. "Charlie, you can afford a nice car and even get it customized. But for the opening, you only bring a tattered old thing like that?" Charlie just smiled faintly. "You don't know anything about it. So what makes you say it's tattered?" Gavin scoffed. "Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You just bought some worthless fake antique to pass it off as something valuable, so no one can figure out how much it's really worth." Then he added aggressively, "Be honest. How much did your old painting actually cost? $100? 80? Charlie smiled slightly. "This painting is worth more than everything everyone here gave today combined." Gavin was the first to laugh. "You've got some nerve. I gave a $10,000 cash gift card, and there are more than 20 other classmates who each gave around $1,000. That's at least another $20,000. You're trying to tell us your painting is worth more than $30,000? Charlie smiled. "You're underestimating it." Now the whole class was laughing. Everyone thought Charlie was just full of it. What kind of gift was this? How dare he show up and provoke them like this? An old painting worth tens of thousands? Who was he trying to fool? At this point, Aria Hughes, who was still on the stage, looked down with disdain and asked curiously, "Mr. Charlie, I'm curious. Who is the artist of this ancient painting? Is it really worth tens of thousands?" Charlie answered casually, "A painter from the early American era. He's not very famous." Aria laughed. "Oh, what a coincidence. My dad is an antiques expert, and he's very well respected. His name is Orion Hughes. He's an expert in the field. You've probably heard of him, right?" Elsa's eyes went wide. "Orion Hughes? The historical artifact expert Orion Hughes? I remember him. He was on the national news channel. Is he really your father?" Aria smiled. "Yes, that's my father. He's actually upstairs right now. How about I ask him to come down and take a look at the ancient painting our classmate Charlie brought?" Gavin stood up and said loudly, "Then do it, Aria. Have your dad come down and help us appraise it. If Charlie's painting is really worth more than all the other gifts combined, then I, Gavin, will eat this entire table right here on the spot." When they heard Aria's father was an antiques expert, all the classmates looked at Charlie with a mix of pity and scorn. They figured Charlie was just incredibly unlucky. He was trying to act all high and mighty, but running into a real expert? Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. If Aria's father Orion came down, wouldn't Charlie be totally humiliated? Claire was getting embarrassed too. She whispered to Charlie, "Charlie, everyone is watching. Don't be so stubborn or you're going to look like a fool." Before they came, Charlie had mentioned buying a painting, but he'd said it wasn't worth much. Now he was claiming it was worth tens of thousands. Claire felt her stomach drop. She figured Charlie was just saying it to save face. But Charlie didn't seem to care at all. "Since you don't believe me," he said, "let a professional take a look." Then he added, "By the way, everyone, don't forget that our classmate Gavin here is a man of his word." He just made another bet. This time, he's offered to eat the table. Gavin, still fuming about the car race, gritted his teeth. "Charlie, you are so arrogant. You embarrassed me with that racing thing, and I was willing to accept the loss. I'm willing to bet again. If that painting you gave is really worth tens of thousands, I'll eat this table right here. If it's not, will you eat it?" Charlie nodded. "Okay, if it's not worth it, I'll eat it." Although it wasn't a famous painting, it was a genuine work by the ancient painter Harvey Pike. The antique shop he bought it from was a national chain that guaranteed authenticity and had a strict policy against fakes. The painting was definitely real. Claire wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Charlie had already agreed. She could only sigh to herself in frustration. Elsa was also a little surprised. Why was Charlie so confident? The more she thought about it, the more she realized he was a very mysterious person. That day at the mansion, the famous Orville Hudson had bowed and scraped to him. She still hadn't figured out why, but she was sure of one thing. Charlie definitely had a secret. Gavin felt like he finally had a chance to get his reputation back. He blurted out, "Okay, everyone here is a witness. Let's have Arya invite her father down to help us identify it." Arya immediately pulled out her phone and dialed, right in front of everyone. "Dad, can you come down for a minute? One of Darren's classmates has a painting, and I want you to appraise it." A minute later, an older gentleman slowly walked down the stairs from the second floor. This was Orion Hughes, a famous antiques expert in Oris Hill. Today was the grand opening of his daughter and future son-in-law's restaurant. He had also invited an old friend to join him in a private room upstairs. He heard that there were ancient paintings that needed to be appraised. As an expert, his interest was immediately piqued, so he hurried down to have a look. Orion stepped forward and walked onto the stage. Arya quickly handed him the gift box containing the painting. "Dad, can you help us identify this? Someone is claiming it's worth tens of thousands." As she said this, she shot Charlie a contemptuous look. Who would believe that a freeloader like him could get his hands on an ancient painting worth tens of thousands? She didn't even have to guess. The painting had to be a fake. The others clearly felt the same way. No one believed Charlie could actually afford to give classical paintings worth tens of thousands. Orion took the gift box, and with everyone's eyes on him, carefully took out the manuscript and unrolled it. The old painting was a bit yellowed and looked pretty unremarkable. Many of the more judgmental classmates immediately started chiming in. "Oh, that doesn't look like anything special." "Yeah, I'd say it's worth $50, tops." "I bet the box is worth more than the painting. The box alone is probably worth $70 or $80. Orion studied the painting carefully. After examining it for a few minutes, he smiled and asked, "Is this painting a gift from one of the classmates?"
This is only 5% of the story. Full story on Pocket FM app. Click on the link in description, install the app, and get 10 episodes free instantly.